Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Joined Sunday morning, bit of a change, by my brother Christian. Christian, how are you, mate?
All right, mate. Bright and breezy. I look a bit worse for wear, but some hectic news going on in there, so we
Yeah,
gotta get out there, do the rounds.
that's it. Yeah. So I suppose straight to it, really. Marcus Rashford, he's 20 years, which is crazy to say, 20 years at Manchester United has come to an end, at least in the short term. Whether it's permanent, we don't know for sure yet till the summer. So Aston Villa have agreed a loan deal with Manchester United where they're going to cover 70% of his salary, which we'll definitely get into that bit. That is stunning to me. And there's a buy option of 40 million. So it's an option, it's not compulsory. So hence my initial point, he could still come back to United in the summer,
Yeah.
which again I've got some thoughts on. So I suppose first things, Marcus Rashford, United lad through the academy. It's been up and down, hasn't it, Christian? What is your thoughts on it finally coming to an end? Just a bit of a initial sort of reaction.
I think this has needed to happen for a long time, to be honest. I think it's been heading this way for a good few years now, under different managers as well. I think it's unfortunate because, listen, if from a personal point of view, from a fan point, when someone comes through the academy, you always give them that little bit more leeway. I know I certainly do with my club. Listen, it's sad when it doesn't work out, but ultimately, like I said, it has been going this way, not just under one manager as well. So I felt like the situation became untenable, and it had to happen. I feel like the way it has happened has maybe been a bit exaggerated, by whether that's by Ineos or by your gaffer itself. I don't know, either one. But like whatever did happen, it did become untenable, and he had to leave. I think it's a bit of a strange one going to Aston Villa. I honestly didn't see that. We spoke about it briefly on the last pod, and I said, look, I think Rashford, he does sort of have I believe he has a bit of a high opinion of his ability. And although I don't believe this, or we don't believe this, that Villa is beneath him by far, by the way, because I don't even think he'll start. But I thought he was going to hold out for a big move, if I'm being honest. I think he wanted the Barca one. I thought he was going to try and maybe push some sort of random Arsenal one over the line. But listen, this is where we're at. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, he might as well have left the club in November. This isn't anything. This isn't a shock. I suppose to your point, the shock is Aston Villa because it's a quote unquote mid-table club. Appreciate they're in the Champions League this season, but they haven't been for a long time. They was in the Championship not too long ago, so. It's surprising in that because look, like you said, we spoke about it. I said literally on the last pod was Marcus Rashford will not go to Villa because he will think that's beneath him. And that is what I thought. Okay, I was proven wrong by that. Emery has been in contact with him. He has been sold the Villa project, which isn't that bad. Look, I mean, I think there is it's a good opportunity to go to Villa. And I mean, I always thought this was his level. And I know this is weird because people might watch this and go, Villa are above United, but United are massive. It doesn't matter whether we're 15th or we're second or first or we're 7th. It doesn't matter. If United got relegated, they're still bigger than Villa. I'm not being harsh here. That is just facts. United are bigger than most clubs, so it's not even a dig at Villa. So Villa are better than Manchester United right now, but the size of it's not even comparable. It's not. So, I always felt Rashford's level was this.
You're referring to like pressure, I'm guessing. So
and I mean, look, it's not like Villa have been above United for 15 years. It's been very recent. Even in United's so-called shocking decade after Fergie, I would imagine we've come above Villa plenty of times. I'd say maybe all but probably the last couple. So, I mean, look, it's very interesting that he's ended up where I think, like to your point, when he came through at 18 years old, his debut in 2015, which is absolutely wild now, isn't it? To think like this will be like 10-year anniversary of his debut when Martial pulled up in the warm up with an injury. Van Gaal put in an unknown. Rashford wasn't even touted in the youth setup. It was wild. Scored 2 on debut against Midtjylland in the Europa League. 3 days later, scored scored 2 on debut against Arsenal on the Sunday. So Rashford had 4 goals in about 4 days to
Yeah.
start his career. It was incredible, and then obviously it's a long time ago, but
It
I
was a bit
remember.
like when Rooney blitzed on the scene and he got the hat trick in
Yeah,
the Champions League. It was very
yeah,
similar, wasn't it? And that was, unfortunately, that was the level, because he hit
mm,
the ground as well as he did.
mm,
That was the level that was sort of expected going forward, and that
yeah,
is, he has struggled ultimately to live up to them heights.
yeah. I was very, very excited when Rashford came on the scene. Like you said, it's nothing better than seeing a Manchester lad play
Yeah.
well and come
Oh,
through the
mate. No
ranks,
doubt.
and it's the dream, isn't it? I know you've got
Yeah.
Foden, and we have had, obviously, in the past we had a 5 or 6 at once, which was incredible. But yeah, Rashford. So I was very excited. The season played out quite well. We won the FA Cup just about through Rashford and Martial, and obviously at the time you felt, with those two being 18 and 19, I always felt Martial was better, and that was a bit of a thing. I remember speaking to a lot of United fans. They thought, they were like, no, Rashford's better. And I was like, he's not better than Martial. Like, you can forget it. And now they've kind of actually had similar sort of trajectories as careers, be it whatever it is, injuries, form, attitude. I don't know, but the way they've both tailed off at 27 is quite. It's weird looking back, really. But so yeah, I think once the initial year had worn off for me, when we got like 20-year-old Rashford under Mourinho, I deep down never thought you could win a league with Rashford as a starter. And that inside left has become such a huge position. We see it. We speak about it, don't we, with the strikers nowadays. Nobody wants to be a striker. Everyone wants to be these wide forwards.
Yeah.
And it is a massive position now, and to have him out there, I never thought we could win a league. And obviously we haven't won a league. Appreciate we came second a couple of times. But I just never thought, I thought the team ceiling with Rashford was always below a big trophy, with him as your best player or your highest paid player, which is another issue. So he's gone to probably where I think his level has always been sort of, really, he's always been destined for this level. And here we are, Aston Villa,
Are you shocked? Are you shocked, Alex? I mean, this is the main thing for me. When I saw, like the here we go had come for Villa, and like it was getting advanced, I was really shocked because I thought in Rashford's mind, and we all knew. Listen, we all knew he was holding out for Barca. That can't happen for one reason or another. What I was shocked at is I thought he would have a preference for like a Dortmund or somewhere out the way that he can, like say Dortmund, he could probably inflate his numbers, probably get back in the England setup. We've seen it with Sancho. You know what I mean? He even spent 6 months there, and suddenly, like, oh, he's England's best winger again. But it's a bit of an illusion that you can create. However, him going to a mid-table team in England, I kind of find it a bit ballsy. So, big up to him for that, in fairness.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I do have a little bit of a look. My feeling towards Rashford is that he's down to 0, really, because of everything that's happened. But I suppose it's ended on a reasonable note that I tip my hat to a degree that you've stayed in the Prem, and you're willing to.
He's battling here, which you've got to respect at the end of the day, man. So
but I mean, it's weird because Villa is probably a better team than United. Well, they definitely are.
Yeah,
So,
of course they are,
and obviously he has probably more competition for places. So I just want to get into the actual ability side of it with Rashford, and what have you felt from a City fan's perspective? And like I've touched on what I felt as the early days, then going into the sort of sub early days under Mourinho. Then Ollie was when he had a very good season, and then he had one under Ten Hag. What is your feelings of him as a player, and just looking back at his 9 years at United?
I think he's undoubtedly streaky. Like we both said, he started well, but ultimately, I don't think he can uphold a certain level which is required to, say, win a league, for instance, like you just referred back to. I think, in all honesty, I genuinely think you probably could win a league with a Marcus Rashford out wide, but not in a Man United team, not in a Man United system, and you need a very specific manager. For example, you know who I'm referring to, Pep Guardiola, I believe, could probably get something out of Rashford. We won the league with Sterling on the wing.
Yeah. No,
we dominated with Sterling on the wing. So do I believe... Listen, I think he's better than Sterling. So, I do believe you could. However, then you also put a lot of other players into that bracket. Could you win it with a Semenyo on the wing? Yeah. Could you win it with even a Miss Homer on the wing? Yeah, you could. So I'm not saying that to big up Rashford too much. I'm just saying, yeah, it is physically possible,
Yeah.
but you need a very specific manager to.
And what
to
you're
get the point.
what you're saying there is sort of the team around him has to be a specific team.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
like
100%.
United in the other 10 positions have not been anywhere near the level to
Yeah.
support a player like Rashford on the left hand
Listen,
side.
when we did do it, we had prime Kevin De Bruyne and David
Mm,
Silva
mm.
putting
And Aguero
ridiculous
as well.
passes together. So
And
whereas Marcus Rashford,
Aguero's a 9.
yeah, and Aguero's a 9. So you had exceptional players in other
Yeah.
positions. Plus, you had players on the bench to come on.
We've been running through random forwards for ages. I mean, like that's the thing where it was like we waste too long on certain players, and
Yeah.
I do think we've wasted too long on Rashford, and it's just been detrimental. Like, I just want to talk about
Just before you say
the
that, Alice, I've just got a question for you. Do you think that is a bit of an excuse for Rashford as well? Do you think he could maybe complain as well on that aspect? You're saying we've wasted too long on Rashford, but do you think he could possibly say, well, I haven't really had any players around me that are any good. Like, the recruitment has been that bad.
yeah,
What have I had to work with? I don't think United, this is one thing I will say, I don't think United have done the best job at giving him the
no, yeah,
tools to work with.
no,
I'm not
yeah,
making excuses for him because clearly there is an attitude problem. It's been flagged a few times. I'm just saying, I think United could have helped develop him more than they have.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
I guess we'll
definitely.
see under Emery, man, because Emery's a top manager. I'm going to be interested to see what song he can get out of Rashford.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many layers to Rashford. It's hard to even know where to unpack. I mean, you've got the attitude, the off the pitch rumours that he's loves. He might be a heavy drinker. With partying. We've seen it. Him going to America, dressing
Is
up
that
like a
rumours?
rapper.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look great. And I do think the club have got wind of this, and it's come into this season. And as soon as the night out before the Everton game has surfaced, that was it. I think with Ineos have gone. That is it. Whatever, and it looks like Amorim has completely backed that. They seem to be on the same page, and the manager and the ownership have gone. That's it now. We have put up with your bullshit now for too long, and not even just the off the pitch, which is widely reported. I said to you, I think it's a year ago to the month, the
Yeah.
Belfast incident where he didn't turn up to training and he was partying in Belfast the night before.
Yeah.
You're meant to be in your prime. You're meant to be. So I do agree. The tools around him have not been perfect, not been anywhere near what we need. However, he has not been doing his job, and he's not been performing on the pitch either. So as soon as you drop below that level on the pitch, and you have these reports of you out partying, you going to America on your international breaks, dressing like Lil Baby and sitting courtside at an NBA game, you're representing United. You by all accounts, you're not in great shape yourself because your effort looks appalling on the pitch. I mean, the distance covered has been a thing with Rashford for years. He's never been anywhere near the City forwards or the Liverpool forwards at like 10, 11K a game. Rashford's around 9 kilometres a game. It's a joke. So we're seeing this, and like, the ownership have gone, that's it now. You can forget it. You're on 350 grand a week, mate. You
I
are
agree.
really taking the piss now, and you're not playing well. It's probably a good segue into the performances of Rashford, and this is what I want to talk about. We've got, since in the last 3.5 seasons, Marcus Rashford has cracked double figures once, which is the Ten Hag first season. The Ten Hag first season is the 30 goal season. That's not really what it was, though. Let's look into that a little bit. 30 goals in all comps. Okay, that sounds brilliant on the surface. He got 6 in the Carabao Cup. He got 6 in the Europa League. And we didn't play anybody in the Carabao. We had a really easy run.
Yeah.
And in the Europa League, we went out early to Sevilla, I think. So he stat patted against the shit teams in the group. So really, he got 17 league goals. Just by comparison, Chris Wood has that now for Forest. And we've got 15 games to go. He got 17 goals in that season. Can we just stop saying that he had this 30-goal season that people think it was like the Ronaldo one, or like the Haaland one, or, the Salah one from a few seasons ago? It weren't. He got 17 Prem goals.
It sort of happened with Rashford that season where there was like a month or a couple of months where he was literally scoring every game. And I think that inflated everyone's opinions. It even blindsided me a little bit. Like, you telling me that kind of shocked me, because I look back at that season and you are sort of blindsided, because I even remember like the bookies were like making it I think like almost like Haaland stuff. Like a goal in the game was like reduced to like a special bet offer. So like they almost saw it as
Yeah.
a given. So it's a bit of a weird. I know what you mean. It has been massively inflated. But just one question on this situation. Do you think, as a United fan, do you think this divides the fan base now quite badly? Or do you think going forward it could really divide the fan base? Because if these results start dipping again, do you think United fans are going to start hitting out at Amorim or Ineos saying, and especially because you've got to factor in Rashford's going to a top team. I'm not top, but they're a good side and they've got a top manager. So if he starts banging goals in, that really will not surprise me. And if you start doing badly, do you think the pressure could ramp and United fans will start hitting out?
I think anybody who's watched Rashford as closely as United fans should have done. I watch every single game. I know you watch every single United game. If you're a United fan, we're assuming you're watching every single game. If you've watched every single game for the last 4 seasons, I've watched nearly every Marcus Rashford game for United. There should be no divide around this decision. Rashford should have gone at the end of last season. So let's give him the good season tally for the Ten Hag year. Last season he was shit. So that should have been it. Real Madrid would not be putting up with this. I didn't. I wanted him gone before the Ten Hag season, to be honest, because I was sick of it. The Ollie Ralph season, he got 4 league goals in that. We want to talk about stats. He got 4. Now, he was awful that season. Absolutely awful. He would have been gone at any big club. That would have been it. Big clubs sell players. You see it all the time. Guardiola does it. Sane was like a little bit of a flirt with Bayern. Gone. You can go, mate. I don't give a shit. Alvarez, you're a bit, you're whinging, gone. Fergie, Pogba whinging about his minutes, gone.
Yeah.
What do? We go, right, another chance. You were shit last year. We'll go again. Ten Hag, see what you can do. We get I would say, a 7.5 out of 10 season. I'm not going any higher than that for Rashford. It was okay. Ended the season shit. The FA Cup final against City was a disgrace. Didn't even want to run. And then it's like, right, okay, well, maybe at least he got 17 goals. We've got some production out of him. To then go and just lay a complete egg last year and he's out partying. And then he gets another chance. What? As United fans, I'd love to know if anybody watches this and thinks that they've got sadness attached to this. Where have you been? Where have you been? Have you been watching this? Like, are you just clinging to the fact he's from Salford? Because I cannot tell you how frustrated I mean, look, it's not just Rashford. I say the same thing about so many United players. But he is the top earner. He's meant to be in his prime. Yeah. He's been shitter in his prime than he was when he was younger. And that's the facts.
I actually agree. I agree with your response, by the way. But I'll rephrase it then. Do you think, based on how we know United fans can be and the fracture in your fan base, do you think, although it shouldn't be a divide, do you think it will be ultimately?
You've already seen it. You've already seen it on Twitter where people are going, "Oh, we've dropped Rashford and look how shit we are." Since the City game. Well, I know we beat City, but after that, we lost God knows how many in a row, and then we've sort of steadied it in the last 2 weeks. But you already see it on Twitter. Why have we dropped Rashford for this? And I said it to me and you were sort of flirting with that sort of, and some of my mates are going, Rashford would do better than this. I just want to remind people, Amorim hooked Rashford in that Europa League game before the derby. Rashford was pathetic. Not even bad. Anybody can play bad. His effort. Amorim hooked him. We came back and won. Amorim didn't even look at him when he subbed him. This is not about training, just solely that. Amorim had enough of his performances. The cameo at Arsenal before the derby. He came on at Arsenal. He was shocking. Stop. People need to stop this. I don't know what's going to happen at Villa. I would be stunned if he pieces together a 12-month span of good games, because I've never seen it at United. He might go on a hot streak now till the end of the season and Villa might pay that buy clause. I'm telling you, to all the United fans out there, this should have happened years ago. Please, just accept that, yes, he's an academy player, but he wasn't good enough. He's not consistent enough. He doesn't look after himself. Why are you sad?
Yeah, I get your point, mate. To be fair, I think
the only just to finish on that. Sorry to interrupt you. I will say this, right. The only sadness I have on this is that a Manchester United manager asked a long-time United fan and academy player to put in more effort in training and look at what he's doing off the pitch and look at the example, and he refused.
Yeah.
That's my sadness is
Yeah.
actually with how Rashford responded to Amarim's criticism. Now, we don't have the full story. All we can go off is what Amarim said.
Yeah.
If that is the truth, that he is still not raised the bar in training, or you've still got the off the pitch shit. I'm sorry, that's where my sadness is that he's the United fan who made it. He's in that 0.0000001% category of United boys growing up in Salford who got the dream. And at 27 years old, the manager says, I need you to put more effort in. I need you to stop going out partying. And his response to that was, I'm not doing it. And I'm going to go and play for Villa. That's my sadness.
It's a fair point. And I think, to be fair, Amarim has come out, and in recent weeks, I was pretty critical of him because I said, look, he needs to tell us what the problem is. Or tell you guys, but the general media, he needs to expose how bad Rashford is, so people understand why you can't play him when you've got balls bouncing off Højlund every week. But at the end of the day, he sort of has in recent weeks, said he's alluded to certain things that he just doesn't try, which it is horrendous. And at the end of the day, you are right. I mean, what's insane is that Rashford's camp haven't come out and denied any of these allegations. So, like, when Amarim's come out and said, I mean, I know he's put off a couple of stories here and there, but he's certainly not like, put it this way, if I came through the City ranks, my dream, and I was playing, and this random foreign manager, he came in, he started accusing me that I basically am not putting in any effort for the club, and I'm really not trying, I would come out and I would defend myself too. I wouldn't even care. I'd go on an absolute rampage. Rashford's done nothing. So it does suggest that at the end of the day, the allegations are true, that he doesn't try. And we'll see it, man. Listen, we're going to see it, aren't we? Because he's going to go to Villa. I do, honestly, I can see that he will put it in for 6 months because I think he has to. I don't think he has any choice.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's two aspects here with Rashford, which is ridiculous. You've got the effort and you've got the actual production on the pitch, and both of those have been an issue at United. I just said it, in the last 3.5 seasons, he's cracked double figures once from this wide forward position. And you make a great point there about the quietness from the Rashford camp. Sancho came out on Twitter when Ten Hag dropped him from that Arsenal squad, and Sancho went, "That's bullshit."
He did, yeah.
And he called him. Okay, it went, I don't particularly like Sancho, and I don't rate Sancho, but at least we aren't at Carrington every day, so at least you can sit back and go, okay, Ten Hag's saying one thing, Sancho's saying another, because Sancho is like, I wasn't taking it easy in training. At least he defended himself, whether it's true or not. Rashford said nothing.
Yeah, Rashford's stance was more naughty kid in the corner.
Yeah.
And that was it. He just doesn't say nothing,
So it's hard to say. Like you said, we are going to get an interview at some point, probably in the summer, if Villa do sign him, when he is going to give his side of the story. And I'm very, very...
Yeah, maybe that's what he's waiting for.
Let's see what comes out of it. But right now, all we can go off is what we know. And I don't believe Amarim... If you look at the early weeks of Amarim, he started Rashford up front in the Ipswich game, and Rashford posted on Insta, great training session. It was all the PR was coming. And then it all went completely sour. I don't believe Amarim came in with a view to dislike Marcus Rashford. I don't know, but my gut feeling is Amarim is right in what he's saying. And as all United fans, they should have his backing. Forget on the pitch stuff, the attitude alone. The partying, phoning in sick, mate. You don't work in an office 9 to 5. You're playing footy. You just said it perfectly. If you got signed by City at 7, 8 years old, and 20 years later, hypothetically, Pep Guardiola comes to you and goes, "You're not in the squad this weekend because you're not putting in the effort in training," you would kill yourself on that pitch the next week.
Yeah.
Forget even going out in the media. You would actually act on it so quickly that you'd be back in the squad in no time. Look at Garnacho. Don't love him as a player, but he is back in the setup, and you have seen a little bit of a change on the pitch with him. He looks fitter. Yeah. He's putting in more effort. Amarim is speaking a bit highly of him. Is Amarim that bad of a bloke? Because Garnacho responded.
And that's another thing. If you look at that, that's more evidence that Amorim was telling the truth, because he did accuse not just one, he accused two, and there were two of you.
Yeah,
Although me and you maybe have our opinions on whether they're big players or not, but they are two of your main players.
yeah,
And one came back and has seemed to have sorted the problem out. And he didn't deny the allegations, by the way. He
no,
just went and sorted it. So that tells you that was true. And Garnacho was like, right, my bad. I have been letting it slip. I'll pick it up. And he
yeah,
obviously seems to have done that. Rashford has just took the opposite stance, not said anything, obviously not improved his work rate. And he's like, just gone, he put, like, the only thing he put on Instagram was like, the United challenge is done and I need a new challenge. And it's like, dude, like, I
yeah.
don't know what has happened. This is where I get your point from a United fan. It's sad on almost a human level that you have been given, like you said, he's the 0.0001 that will ever get this opportunity, and he has pissed it down the drain. I tell you what, Marcus Rashford, this is undoubt that there is no doubt in this. He will live to regret how he is
I
acting.
think so.
He will
I
make.
think so.
He's going to look back on his career. He played for his dream club, and he came through, and he ultimately got given the boot because he didn't try enough, and he's going to end up playing for Aston Villa. And before any Villa fans like go fucking nuts, I'm not saying they're shit. I'm saying it, even if, like, for instance, Grealish for them, if he came through at your club and he wasn't making enough effort and he got given the boot and he then went to Palace, he would fucking regret it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So,
Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is that's what I'm saying. The sadness is around. The sadness is around
a human
Rashford.
level, almost.
Yeah, that's it. Don't be sad about what he's going to come on the pitch, because, I mean, I know we keep somehow getting worse, but I don't know how you get worse from here with Rashford. He's been awful. When I spoke about big clubs and how big clubs deal with this, Rashford would have gone after that Villarreal game in the Europa League. He was rotten. Anybody watching this pod now, any United fan or any football fan, please go and watch his highlights from that Europa League final. Just because the shit keeper let 11 out of 11 pens in, Rashford was a 0 out of 10. And poor Ollie took the brunt of that, because, Rashford was shocking in that FA Cup final against City. You're a Manchester United lad. And there's a clip in that game. The ball's in the air, bounces. He stands and watches it, and watch John Stones collects it. Go and look at it. You telling me the sadness from me because he won't challenge for headers in an FA Cup final against City? Honestly, you need your edge checking. I'm sorry. This is the facts, and you can't bury your head in the sand because he's from Carrington and from Salford. It's not. It's gone the way it should have gone years ago. There's a picture out there where somebody sort of superimposed Rashford on a Villa kit and, like, merged him in Agbonlahore's face on Twitter, and somebody tweeted it in 2022. And it's been doing the rounds now where people have been going, wow, it's finally happened. The Rashford meme. And obviously Villa are good now, so it's a bit of a strange one. But just before we wrap it up on this, I just wanted to talk about, let's forget about the attitude. I know we've touched on that. And I just want to talk about the importance of this wide forward position and what the production you have to win. I'm just going to grab one example. I know there's loads. We could use Foden. We could have used Sterling when you won the league. We could have used... there's so many players out there. Yeah. If I look at my own club, we could have looked at Ronaldo's stats. I just want to pull up Salah as an example, who has only won one league, might be two in a few months. And I just want to compare the two. Salah is a right winger, but he's a left-footed right winger who cuts in. Rashford's a right-footed left winger who cuts in. Exact same position. Appreciate the rest of the team isn't as good. But I just want to talk about the comparison between these two players. And Salah is deemed, as people say, he's only won one league title. This is how good you've got to be to get yourself and your team in the mix to win one league title. So Marcus Rashford has made 208... Just 1 second. Yeah, so Marcus Rashford, 287 Premier League appearances. He scored 87 goals. It just feels quite average when you say it like that. Mo Salah has scored 89 more goals in 15 less games than Rashford.
Yeah.
And Mo Salah's won one league title, by the way. This is the level that United should be looking at. Forget where they're from and where they're born. Mo Salah's Egyptian. Do you think Liverpool care that he's not from Liverpool?
Yeah.
He's probably going to have won him 2 league titles, and one's going to be in a few months. And we're sort of burying our head in the sand for a guy who scored nearly 90 goals less than Salah in more games. It's just ridiculous. Salah has never scored less than 18 goals for Liverpool. These, by the way, I'm talking prime years here.
Mm,
And Rashford's never scored more than 17.
yeah.
This is the level we should be looking at. Manchester United should not be accepting this because he's from the academy. It's ridiculous.
I suppose, what do you think in terms of, he's going, and I do agree with you, by the way, the level is just not high enough, especially for where you want to be.
Mm.
But, we're seeing some rumours this morning. I don't know whether you've read up on, Fabrizio posting that you're going to it's only natural. You seem to have got him out the door on loan. I'm guessing you're going to bring someone in. Tell pretty much looks to me like he's holding out for United. I think he definitely wants the United move over anything else. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Look, I suppose a loan is a bit of a risk-free. I think you said it on the last pod. I mean, Rashford has effectively not been here for 2 months, so I mean, it's almost a signing to nothing, really. Assuming you don't put in a compulsory buy clause, then I'd probably do it. I still think there's probably better out there for loan. I would put in the optional buy clause because if he's good, Bayern are going to want mega money for him,
exactly.
especially at his age and how they will negotiate United. I would probably look. I mean, unless there's an obvious player out there that I can't think of. I've not seen much of Matthias Tell. He looks streaky. He looks like Rashford, to be honest. It might be worth it. I suppose just getting a body in is probably worth it.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's see. I suppose, the salary's freed up. What's 70% of 350k? It's Villa are taking on mega amount there. And also 40 mil buy clause. We spoke about Garnacho in the PSR rules. I mean, 40 mil for an academy player is going to work massively for United in the summer. So I really hope that happens.
Even when you say that, though, I know from that point of view, it's an interesting take. It's like 70% is huge what they're taking on. But, mate, you think of that, like, even they don't trust Rashford enough to take on 100%. You've had to pay him to play somewhere else.
We are paying, yeah.
Do you know what? Like, I get his wages are high, but this is the level he has hit. So if anyone does want to moan that Rashford's being moved on, dude, United would not take this deal if they thought they could get someone to take his whole wages. United have obviously had to negotiate this to fight. I mean, by the way, Villa won't have gone in saying they will pay 70%. United have probably had to negotiate that up. Villa will have probably gone in saying we'll pay 50. You pay 50.
Probably.
And then United have gone, no, that's not acceptable, but Dortmund are happy to pay more, or whatever, you've negotiated more. You think of that, though. Marcus Rashford, he can't even get someone to allow him to come there for free and just to pay his wages. That's the level he's at the minute. That's how risky he is.
Yeah. No, you're totally right, Christian. I mean, look, just in summary on Rashford, I do think that this is the only level of sadness anyone should have is that Marcus Rashford's Manchester United career has wrapped up at the age of 27 with Manchester United paying 30% of his salary to play for another club. That's very, very sad, in my opinion, that it's come to this. And there's a few things in there. He didn't, I'm sure he did ask for 350 grand a week, but he should have been on a considerably less salary. But the facts are he was the highest paid earner at the club with Casemiro. So you face the consequences, mate. You signed that massive deal. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done. Christ, I mean, if Ed Woodward's that stupid to offer it him, then it's not Marcus's fault. But at the same time, Rashford, you know what comes with that.
Yeah. Do you know what, like, these players such as Rashford, Sancho, who went on huge wages at your club, they benefited from you being as bad as you were because Rashford had you by the bollocks because he was like, well, listen, I know you're as shit as you are. You can't afford to lose me, so I can name my price and you will meet it. And ultimately, he did that. But then, dude, you can't get the money you're on and then not put any effort in and put the performances in that he did. You've got to, if you want to be a 300 grand a week player, then you are putting yourself in a fucking De Bruyne sort of Salah category. Yeah. So you've got to produce. You can't be having one good season. And like you said, even that good season, it's massively inflated.
It's Fugazi, wasn't it?
Yeah, so
I mean, you're right. I mean, that's it. You can point. Look, he is not the sole reason United have been shit, right? And he's not the sole reason United haven't won a league when they were good. I understand that there's been shortcomings all over the place with this club, and You only have to listen to a few of my takes on United, and I know how badly ran this club has been. I'm not naive to that. Unfortunately, though, Rashford is included in that comment, and 350 grand a week. You sit there and you sign that contract. But when you walk out that door, you need to know what that is going to come with. That's going to be scrutiny. You have to be perfect. Okay, look, you're going to get criticism if you play shit. If you play shit and your attitude's bad off the pitch, mate, there's no defending it. No defending it at all. You wanted the big money deal, and now you're out partying and not turning the numbers up on the pitch. We've just shown it. He's on more money than Mo Salah, who has scored 90 more goals in less games.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
can't have the best of both.
So, yeah, look, yeah, there's a percentage of sadness from myself, but I honestly feel like it stems from me being a Red myself, and I think of 6-7-year-old me dreaming of playing for this club, and that's where my sadness feels. Where, like you said, not even just United fans. Why does Amad Diallo run around the pitch like it hurts?
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't know what Diallo's going to turn out like. We don't know how good or bad he's going to be. He's been pretty good. But if you just forget talent-wise and sort of ability, why does Diallo graft like he does? What is he? Ivory Coast? He's obviously not British. You know what I mean? He's a foreigner. He came over from Atalanta as a kid. And he's the one now that's charging around the pitch like a lunatic, pressing and trying to win the ball back for this club. And we've got a guy who we're all meant to feel sad for because he's from Manchester. It's the other way to me.
Yeah. It exaggerates how bad that is.
I'm really grateful that an Ivorian in Amad Diallo grasped for this club, but I'm also very pissed off that a Manc doesn't want to.
Yeah, a player that has no affiliation is willing to put in more effort and graft for the badge. That's not a good look, is it? So it is what it is, man. And yeah, the only thing I would say is that, listen, I'd be the exact same. If this was Foden, we've just seen him have a really bad turn in form this year. If that was to ultimately continue for years, it would become a real problem for City, and the situation would have to be dealt with, and it would kill a lot of City fans because they'd be like, we're dreaming of the player they could be, but you've got to look at the player they are, unfortunately.
Very good point. Yeah. No, I like that comment. Yeah. Probably a good place to wrap it. Yeah. So Rashford will be in a Villa shirt in their next. I assume they're still in the FA Cup. Forgive me if they're not, but I assume at FA Cup weekend Rashford debut for Villa. Going to be strange seeing him in that kit, but hey, let's move on. See if United can get a body in. If it's Matthias Tell, great. Let's see what he can do. Time for this club to move on, I think, and for the player to move on. I would say I wish him well, but I don't really, if I'm being honest. I really just don't. My memory of Rashford will be that he got asked to put in more effort and didn't.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's a scathing review, but it is what it is, isn't it? And ultimately, that's the lasting effect he's had. So
yeah, that's it. Everyone's entitled to how they feel. I think, and I know there's obviously on social media. I've been on Twitter this morning, and there's a whole host of United fans, and maybe it might be younger people who maybe maybe they were like 15, 16, coming to the end of high school when Rashford's debut happened, and maybe they've grown up with that sort of feeling, or even say you were 10 years old at Rashford's debut, and maybe that's why they might have a different feeling to me when I've seen two amazing generations of teams at Man United under Sir Alex, and maybe that's why I'm a little bit harsher. But my take on the academy. I ain't bending the rules because of where you're born. I'm sorry. If you're good, you're good. If you're bad, you're bad. I don't care where you're born. So, yeah, man, thanks for joining, Christian, to go through it. And
definitely.
We will catch up after the weekend. 2 big games today for both City United. So,
we'll jump on, do a review. It'll be an interesting one, mate. Hopefully I'm not crying Monday, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Have a good Sunday.
All right, bro.
Later.